I'm Linda Spradley Dunn, CEO and founder of Odyssey Media. I am delighted to be here. So, who is Odyssey Media? Well, we've been around for a while, 18 years to be exact, and we connect multicultural women and multi-ethnic women around the world. Odyssey Media is known for our signature event, the Odyssey Network Business Retreat. But my, how we have expanded over the last 3 to 4 years. Part of our expansion includes this new program, Keys to Success, powered by Coca-Cola 5x20 initiative. So why did I create Keys to Success? Well, did you know Black women in America are one of the fastest growing segments for creating small businesses. However, we still lag far behind in our access to capital that we need to make our businesses grow and to just stay in business. Keys to Success is created by me and my team and a group of experts to help you understand what it takes in order to prepare yourself to ask for that bank loan, to get that angel investor, or to find creative new ideas for fundraising. As a Black woman, as a CEO, I know that I was often afraid of simple things that I shouldn't have been. So I'm here to help you take the fear out of it. So how will this work? Well, we've created some exciting workshops for you. You need to watch all 3 workshops in order to qualify to apply for the contest. In addition, you must be a minority women-owned business and you need to be certified. However, we do understand that certification can sometimes take 30 to 90 days. Therefore, we will accept a provisional certification, Odyssey's own application, fill it out, get it notarized, and get in the process. We'll take that while you're pulling all your financials together and applying for this incredible contest. Do you really get $25,000? What are the strings attached? If you win, you get $25,000 in cash on Thursday, May 25th at the Odyssey Network Business Retreat, where the 3 finalists will be chosen and brought down to pitch live in front of our audience. For those of you that don't win, don't fret. You know I have additional contests coming, and this prepares you for other pitch contests that are being presented both in our community and around the world. So listen, Keys to Success is my baby. It's me putting my money where my mouth is. It's me collaborating. It's me helping to uplift another woman and help her expand. How can I thank the Coca-Cola Company for their incredible commitment to women everywhere? What an incredible goal to try and help 5 million women by the year 2020, and they're well on their way. I am so happy and really excited that you're going on this journey with me as we present Keys to Success. We're going to open those doors to access to capital.
So you started a business and it's profitable, and now you're wondering how and if you should expand. Well, success in business is about survival of the fittest. In this segment, you will learn the indicators of why, how, and when to expand your business. Why? Why expand your business? You can't just look at the competition and say, oh, the competition's doing it, or you have just a desire to expand. You have to really understand your personal why. And then when? I'm sure you've heard it before. Timing is everything. And then lastly, we're going to talk about how. We're going to give you some step-by-step ways to explore strategies on how to expand your business. As business owners, we have choices to make. We need to understand the employees that we have. Are they the right people to do the job and to represent our brand? We have to think about product. Is the product that we have right for our business? Does it need tweaking? Does it need to evolve? We need to understand management. Do we have the right people that are going to take our business to the next level? Sometimes who we started with isn't always who we need to continue on with. And then lastly, the growth factor, the when and the how. Mirror, mirror on the wall, what do potential investors see in you after all? There's a lot of information. It can be overwhelming, but don't let it be. Now is your time to shine. Now's the time to put your financial package together in a way that represents your company. You're going to get resources that will show you examples that might be related to your industry, but don't cut and paste. One of the worst things you can do is try to implement a strategy and a plan that doesn't apply to your business. We're going to talk about a lot of positive things, but we would be remiss if we didn't mention the red flags. These are the things that might cause an investor to pause or even stop on funding your business. For example, if you're a service-related industry, you want to be sure that the plan that you put together is directly related to your business and is not the strategy of someone in another industry. If you've decided that you want to build a business, then growth and expansion should be in your future. You cannot stand still. What happens when we don't grow and expand? Actually, the number 2 reason why businesses fail has to do with access to capital, which we're helping you with in this series. The number 3 reason has to do with the failure to expand your business. Take Blockbuster, for instance. They did a great job at going from VHS to DVD. Some of you may not even know what a VHS is. But they did not adjust their product going forward in order to fit the market. It allowed companies like Netflix and other streaming services to steal their market share. Another example is Yahoo. Yahoo wanted to charge for services like email that companies like Google were actually giving away for free. Yahoo ultimately ended up putting a lot of money into other kinds of businesses that ultimately failed and left them behind in the market. A small business example is Crumb. Crumb's Cupcakes launched in 2003. In 2010, they were on Inc. magazine's 500 fastest growing list. By 2011, they were acquired by a holding company for $66 million. Sounds great, right? They went public. The share price was $13. In 2014, just 3 short years later, the shares were trading for 15 cents. Ouch. Their short-sighted vision around their product and diversification caused them to fail. So what qualifies as expansion? Well, increasing your location, really understanding the nuances of your business and having a well-oiled machine will allow for additional locations or for increasing your space and finding a larger location. In addition to that, diversifying your products and services, really understanding the market for your product and your service, and determining if there are additional services or products that you could offer, whether they be related or unrelated. Franchising is also an option for expansion, but it's understanding that there are costs that are related to franchising. It's not just having someone pay you for the right to use your business name and business model. So do your homework and really understand if franchising is right for you. Expansion can be planned out very carefully and managed, or there can be an involuntary expansion, which is what happens when the market catches hold to your product and requires you to expand potentially quicker than you're ready to do so. This unexpected growth can be dangerous. Sometimes decisions that are made during this time around cash flow, around managerial staff, and other areas can cause you to make decisions that aren't necessarily in line with the way that you'd like to expand. So do your homework. Take time to plan the strategy. Careless decisions can be made around cash flow, around management decisions, as well as the lag between sales and your receivables. Careful management of this process is mandatory. Expansion carries risks no matter what, and there are different types of expansion. You can sell more of the same product, you can expand the range of products, or you can change the underlying business concept altogether. So what are the signs that it is time to grow? One is that you're outgrowing your location. The other one could be that your market segment is growing or your business is plateauing. Your customers could demand growth, as well as when you don't have the capacity to meet the demands of your customers, then you may want to think about expanding. The last two are franchise opportunity, which we spoke of, or a need to diversify because that's what the market is calling for. Now you should have a great roadmap on developing a strategy to expand your business. You want to look at why you are expanding, right? What are your reasons? Make sure that they are not just about the market doing it, that you're scared that competitors are getting ahead of you, but that you have a solid understanding. Know when. Timing is everything, and it is unique to each individual and organization. Remember that the point is to grow your business and to learn. For additional resources, you can check out SCORE, which is an organization of retired executives who will help you find deeper meaning and understanding in how to expand your business. The Small Business Association, the International Franchise Association, the United States Trademark and Patent Office, along with the IRS Small Business and Self-Employment Organization. These resources will be helpful to you as you grow and expand your business. Good luck.
We want to talk about the business plan and the importance of a business plan. Why do you think having a business plan is important?
Well, I think it tells concisely the story of the organization. So being able to tell that concise story of why you exist, what you're here to accomplish, and the goals and strategies is going to help you get there, helps other people understand what your purpose is. So,
and you know, people get scared. When they hear business plan, they think, oh my God, 12 pages, I got all this stuff I need to do. So you know about something that I think everybody needs to know about. Let's talk about that.
The one-page business plan. So I think it's great to help entrepreneurs really organize their thoughts on why they're creating this business or why they started this business. And so Jim Moran wrote this book, The One-Page Business Plan, that really articulates how you should really go about it. But the best thing I think about it is it really holds into the concise of what it is. So each kind of element, from the mission, the vision, to the strategic plan, to the objectives, has to be one sentence in each. So it really helps the entrepreneur be better, concise with why they're doing this particular organization that they're creating.
And in that book, there's a step-by-step guide to help people to create that one-page business plan.
Absolutely. And we're using it in a number of our programs. So I also chair the Women's Business Enterprise National Council, and a number of our regional affiliates are utilizing that particular book to help women-owned businesses really build their plans, because it does look kind of scary when you're trying to go through it. And each one of the business plans, I think it's different, depending on what the outcome is you're looking for as you write the particular business plan. So as we talk about it today, looking for expansion to growth, how we're going to grow our business, what does this look like from a pitch? You're trying to pitch your business to win this great prize that the Coca-Cola company is doing. So I think it's important. The first thing is you really got to know, what are you creating? What did you create and why?
And then let's talk about scaling your business. We've talked about how you expand, knowing when to expand. There are some tools that you guys share and have in place. Kind of share some of those with us.
Right. So EY looked at, kind of this, what we call it, the missing middle. These women-owned businesses, they've kind of gone from the startup phase, and now they're going into this growth expansion. So what are some of the kind of the key 5 ways to win, is what we call it, to help businesses as they're looking at this expansion of growth. So the biggest thing I think is to think big and bold. I think a lot of times as women entrepreneurs, we don't think big enough. So we look at that little kind of relative growth rather than the big growth, becoming one of these large-owned businesses. And I think the second one is around work on the business rather than in the business. So this starts talking about, I think earlier you talked about people, surrounding yourselves with the right team of people that you need to be successful. So it's no more of you being the CEO, the COO, the janitor, the marketing person, and all of that. You've got to start employing people to help you be more successful in this particular time of your growth.
I think you're 100% right, especially when you talk about being the CEO, because entrepreneurs have to understand they wear 3 hats at all times. They're the worker, they're the supervisor, and they're the CEO. Unfortunately, too many entrepreneurs stay in their worker hat a lot longer than they do their CEO hat, which is about growth, which is about long term, which is about future. And where are we going? So I think that's a good tip. What else?
I think one of the biggest things is getting experts. So having a board, advisory board for you. So this is going out and finding who do you need to expand your growth. And I think the advisory board is ever changing because you're going through these different levels of growth. So you started the company with a group of advisors that are helping you in seeking that particular thing, but now you're looking at this growth. So where do you need to go find the experts to grow? So is that in different areas? Are you looking to expand from acquiring, acquisitions, mergers? What does that look like? So really making sure that you have a board of directors to really help you bring that on.
God, that is so true. I'm just thinking about my business and where I started, and the group of people that I started with are not the group of people that I have right now, because it was sometimes time to grow, sometimes to move some people out and to continue to keep moving me forward and stretching myself. Having those people played a huge part in the growth of my business. What other tip?
I think one of the biggest things that we all struggle, I think, from a women's perspective is really talking about ourselves and building our overall brand. So really putting yourself in the network and building that brand of your organization, building your media platform, talking about how your business is done, different things within the community, within its organization. Really trying to change how you look. And so we have a hard time sometimes bragging about ourselves.
Yes.
So I think this is one of the things, building that network, building that profile is what we call it, of that particular business. So where are you on media? Are you doing magazine articles? You know, how do you look? There's a lot of different awards from that perspective that are out there. How do you start branding yourself as the go-to organization for whatever it is you're creating within your business?
You know, Teresa, I remember I was working with a client, and a potential client, let's say it was a potential client, and I was going to pitch my services. And one of the things that she said to me, which was advice, was come prepared to sell Becky. And I thought, come prepared to sell you, because sometimes women don't sell themselves. That totally changed my presentation, because I was going to talk about, you know, the team and what. And she was like, you need to sell you and what you do. And that was a mind shift for me, because we struggle to talk about our accomplishments, what we're doing, what we see in the future. That is a huge area for us to really scale our business to the next level. Oh, God. What else?
I think the biggest thing is the education around what type of funding exists. I think when we start looking for capital, bringing in access to capital, people get a little weary because they don't understand the options that are available to them. So I think there is a challenge around capital, but I think one of the biggest challenges too is the education about what is available. So educating yourself from venture capital, if it's angel funds, if it's simply going to get a line of credit, and really how positioning yourself can do that. So I think these business plans are really critical to helping you articulate that story to the investors. And that story is going to be different as you go, depending on the type of capital you're looking for.
Yeah, I think sometimes what happens is we don't do that research, because the assumption is, oh my God, it's going to be big and overwhelming, so we shy away from it. Instead of doing the research to find out what is out there. I think I was Googling one time and came across a list of about 50 different ways to find funding in your business that I'd never heard about, never knew about. And so to click each link just to learn was like, wow, how many other people don't know about some of these things? With what you do all the time, Teresa, what do you see as probably a big, something that you would say that women entrepreneurs really need to focus on going forward?
I think it's really knowing the business they're in. So what solution are you to an organization? How is your company solving major corporations or other women-owned businesses' problems that shows your overall purpose? And I think that's one of the other kind of force multipliers, we call them, that kind of interact with these 5 ways to win. It's a purpose for profit. So what is the purpose of your organization, and how is that solving a lot of issues within corporate America or within other large women-owned businesses?
And so until companies are clear there, they're going to always have some opportunities.
Absolutely.
Because they can't communicate.
Right.
Because they're not clear in those areas.
Right. I think it's one of the things that we talk about is, you have your purpose, but it's also clearly articulating what is it that you do.
Yeah.
And how is that going to be a great segue for us to engage you in our organization.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Teresa,
Absolutely.
for taking some time to share with us, getting you ready to pitch perfect. Thank you for participating in Odyssey Media's Your Financial Image, Display Your Digits, powered by the Coca-Cola Company's 5x20 initiative.
So we've heard a lot in this workshop about what folk are looking for before they're going to give you their money. So whether it's a great balance sheet, whether you've got to pull your financials together in a certain way, the one thing that's really important is how do you present it and what tools do you need? I am joined by the amazing Valerie Lancaster Bill. Everybody knows she's my friend, otherwise she wouldn't have helped me and my company, but she also is an incredible financier. Valerie, welcome.
Thank you, Linda. It's my pleasure.
Good. Well, you know the reason I wanted you to do this segment is because you taught me. So I was a bit of a hot mess with, you could agree,
She
with
was.
stuff everywhere. But the real question I had, Valerie, was what do I buy? What do I need? Do I use QuickBooks? Do I need another accountant? You know, I had 2 accountants who died, right?
Absolutely.
Right in the middle of stuff, right? So I got dead accountants, I got stuff everywhere. Valerie, how do you present the numbers? Tell me the best software that, say, a small business should be using to keep track of everything.
Well, you know, I'm a QuickBooks Online person. And I do that because it's fairly easy to learn. But being online, I can look at it, and more importantly, or equally importantly, you can look at it, and our outside accountants can look at it.
Got you.
So on a daily basis, as you know, I'm really adamant because Mrs. Dunn wants to know what her numbers are.
I need to know where my money
And so
is.
Mrs. Dunn can dial in and she can see it. As your CFO, I can dial in, and our outside accountants can all dial in and see it. So the QuickBooks Online, I believe, is a very effective, and it's moderately priced.
Okay.
And then you can download it, which is what you do, to make reports. And you know, I'm a big report person.
Yes, you are.
So I love Excel. And so from QuickBooks, you can download it, and then you can make it look what you want it to look like in Excel. Mrs. Dunn loves Excel, and she builds her own Excel models.
I gotta know where my money is.
She builds her own Excel models. So what we do is we take your models and we download QuickBooks to look as close as they can be to your models.
Now, a quick question here. So when we present to the bank, and we've done some really nice presentations, you're taking those reports directly from QuickBooks. We don't have to fix them up and all that kind of stuff, because our stuff looks good now.
So we do fix them up because I like colors, I like bands, I like emphasis. So when you download it from QuickBooks, it comes in what they call a very text version. But then you download it into Excel, and then you emphasize with colors. You know, we do charts and graphs, but
Yes.
it all starts from the basic information that's contained in QuickBooks.
You know, when I worked at IBM, there was an old saying that said, garbage in, garbage out. So if you get the right basic numbers in QuickBooks, then it's kind of easy to pull together the reports and the presentation format that you need for a bank, for a pitch, or what else, right? Now, Valerie, another issue I had when you came in and rescued us is I didn't know how to pick an accountant. To me, the hardest 2 jobs are picking a receptionist and an accountant. And like I said, people are laughing, but I really did have 2 accountants that died right in the middle of stuff. And so how do you pick an accountant? And of course, you came in, we changed firms. We have one of the best firms in the country now. But what are some of the things that you went through to help us get professional help?
So you had bookkeepers who masquerade as accountants.
Oh boy.
And there's a difference. There are people who can enter your data, and they will do what we call a compilation, as you well know, and they'll just enter it. But they're not managing it, they're not reviewing it. So initially, you had a number of people who were merely entering your data, but they weren't analyzing it. And so, as you say, garbage in, garbage out. So when you're interviewing the bookkeeper, and some people just need a bookkeeper, but when you're interviewing a firm, make sure that they understand your business. Make sure they understand what you want. Mrs. Dunn's requirements in terms of report may be different from Mr. Johnson's report, and they're definitely initially different from what a bank wants. So you need to make sure that you have someone who understands your business. Your business is complicated. You're in media, you're in event management.
We're global now.
We're global, and so you need someone who's willing and has the flexibility to go along with you. And make sure that they don't want to put you in their box. Make
Wow.
sure, because you get a lot of people who can give you what we call a cookie cutter package. What we've spent a lot of time is specifically designing your accounting system to be a management tool. A Quickbooks is a wonderful accounting system, but we use it as a management tool.
That's a really important point, because when you go for money, folk want to know that you understand your numbers, not just what's on paper, but how are you managing those
Absolutely.
numbers. I think that's a really good point. That has been a struggle for me, to find someone that understands my business, that can give me some analysis to help me grow, and then make that a pretty package. Valerie, there's another trend going on right now where people say, if you're a really small company, if you're a restaurateur, if you own a daycare center, a small trucking firm, outsource it. There are companies now that will pay your bills, do your accounts receivable, pay your payroll, prepare your taxes, and make everything look pretty for an investment. What's your take on companies that outsource? They'll even outsource payroll, headcount, and HR. What's your take on those type of companies?
Absolutely. They're wonderful online services. They're independent people who you can outsource. But you, as the CEO, always has to know what is going on in your company. So don't ever get into where they tell you what they're going to give you. Make sure that you tell them what you want to receive. Remember, we use accounting as a management tool, not merely just as an accounting and a bookkeeping tool.
That is such a good point, because they can make it look pretty for you. They can help with the package, they can help with the presentation, but you better own what's in that presentation and how they came up with it. So one last thing I want to talk about, and that's some really good advice. What's the downside of outsourcing?
The downside of outsourcing is if you don't keep track of your numbers. I would never challenge the credibility of someone, but they could just be sloppy. And if they're not putting in the right numbers, and you can say, I thought I made $200,000, but they could type in something, and if you're not watching it, then your numbers are not correct. So don't ever assume that you're downsizing the responsibility. What you're doing is you're hiring an additional hand to help you out, but you still have to know your numbers. And it's interesting, you said it is just as important for the small restaurateur as it is for the large media mogul. Because in fact, the small restaurateur needs to know his or her numbers even more so than the large restaurateur, because his margins of errors are even smaller.
Absolutely.
So it's
Absolutely.
important for everyone.
Well, great. Well, I think that your advice on QuickBooks Online, especially for the small and medium-sized companies, you don't have to go out and buy big $100,000 wazoo accounting packages. It can export to Excel, which is very acceptable to most people that you're presenting to as a part of your package. Even if you outsource it, you got to know what's in it.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really important. And the most important is when you're hiring an outside firm, you make sure you interview them. And what'd you say, Val? Don't let them put you in a box. Make sure they understand your company so that when the presentation comes together, it's all about you. So Valerie, one of the things that was really important to me was to understand, gosh, I need help. I know I had my own personal signs. It was called chaos. But what are some of the signs that you're a small business owner, you're growing, or maybe you're not growing? When and what are the times when a person should seek outside help?
I'm going to give you an example. I was sitting getting my hair done, and I saw my stylist handing a piece of paper for payroll, and she was doing my hair and running a fabulous shop. And I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "You need someone to help you." So it's not about when you need someone when you're trying to do it all. And that's when she needed to spend more time making money, doing my hair and others, and hiring someone else. There's another reason, Because when that tax man comes, he doesn't want to see little bits of pieces of paper. So I'd say almost any entrepreneur, he or she may not need a certified public accountant, but they need a bookkeeper right away to make sure that they manage their finances and record their finances.
That's a really good point. You don't always need the full bandwidth of the CPA in the big firm, but a bookkeeper, and the bookkeeper doesn't have to be full-time.
Oh, absolutely.
The bookkeeper can be twice a week. The bookkeeper can be part-time. And you can also barter. If you know a really good bookkeeper and you have a service, you could offer the bookkeeper, dinner at my restaurant 5 nights a week for 5 hours a week of bookkeeping in return.
The good news now is that there are a lot of entrepreneurs who are setting up services because of the online accounting system, and they can do it, as you say, once a week, twice a week. There are so many resources available out here to meet your specific needs. And so just look for them and look around, ask other friends, ask other agencies, and ask somebody to make sure that they're reputable and honest.
Got you. But a bookkeeper, a CPA, even a friend that's good with numbers that can keep it on Excel for you in the beginning when you're really starting out, but get some help, correct?
I would say I'm not big on getting the friend to help you out, but...
That was my problem. That's why I was a mess. That's why you had to come up and clean up the friend stuff. I got you.
I think someone has to take it not as a friendship. You and I are friends, but when I work with you, it's a business relationship.
Absolutely.
So I would just say, yes, we are friends, but when we walk into that room, we're dealing with our business.
You're absolutely right about that.
You have to separate friendship and business because we have to have some conversations sometimes.
So ignore my advice about a friend that can just help you out and listen to Valerie Bill. Get a real bookkeeper, a real CPA, use QuickBooks Online, use some of these virtual services that we have to make your presentation shine. Thanks, Valerie.
Thank you, Linda. You've heard a lot of reference today about the importance of knowing your numbers. You, as the entrepreneur, as the CEO, have to understand how you make money and how you bring it to the bottom line. Debits and credits. After 25 years plus as a banker, you would think I know debits and credits up and down. But let me tell you a little secret. I still use a cheat sheet. I carry around my cheat sheet with me wherever I go. The objective today is not to make you an accountant. It's to show you how you use numbers as a management tool. And so that's what we're going to talk about for the next several minutes. We're going to look at the first thing that all of us will have to understand is your income statement. Your income statement is your profit and loss statement. It will be the tool by which you will record all of your income and all of your expenses. It is by far one of the most important documents that you will use when you're going in seeking financing. Move on down to your expenses. You want to first capture your operating expenses. Investors want to know that you are fully covering all the cost of operations. The first one we want to do is rent, utilities. How do you keep your operation rolling? The second one, which investors also want to make sure that you cover, is payroll. Make sure that you pay yourself. If you're not paying yourself, then you're understating what your actual expenses are. How do you make money? If you have to travel, if you have to entertain, if you have to buy goods and services in order to produce your product, then you also want to record the expense of those goods and services and those entities, those items that you use to make money. Always be doing your homework. That's research and development, and that is an expense of your business. Next, and equally as important, is paying your taxes. Make sure that you keep and pay on a quarterly basis your estimated taxes. It is always difficult at the end of the year to try to come up with what your tax liability is. You can generally predict, based upon what you believe your profit is going to be, what your estimated taxes are going to be. I recommend to clients that they actually have a separate checking account that they put the quarterly payments in advance so that they know that they can pay the tax man. And then, if you have finance cost, make sure that you show that investor how you're going to repay those expenses. So we've defined your revenues and we've defined your expenses. Revenues minus expenses equal net income. The objective is to make sure that that net income is positive. Cash is king, or with us, cash is queen. You will be recording your accounts receivable. Accounts receivable are booked into your system when you send out that invoice, but you may not receive that cash for 30, 60, 90 days. How do you get by when you don't have that cash? And yet, you still have those expenses. And so what we live by is what we call the cash burn, or cash flow analysis. At the beginning of each year, you should sit down and record when do you expect to receive cash on every month. So if you have a monthly revenue stream, then you put that into your chart. If you have a client that pays on a quarterly basis, then make sure you record that cash not when you send that invoice out, but when you believe you're going to have the cash in. This is an extremely important exercise to go through. And it's one that you need to be on top of all times. Once you record your income on a monthly basis, then you record your expenses on a monthly basis. Payroll gets paid on a monthly basis. If you have talented employees, remember that you have to pay them on a regular basis. They're not investors in your company, they are employees. So your first line is your payroll. I'm just going to end with this. Serena Williams says, "I am an athlete and I'm black, and a lot of black athletes go broke. I do not want to go broke." I recall what Oprah Winfrey told me. She told me to make sure that I sign every check. Now, you may not have to sign every check, but you need to completely understand how every check is going out, what it's being used for, and look at your financials at least on a weekly basis, no matter who's recording them. If you have an inside bookkeeper, if you have an outside bookkeeper, make sure that you review your financials at least on a weekly basis. Make sure that you know your numbers.
You've heard a lot of useful information about how to improve your financial position and create a one-page business plan. Now, for a few pitch points. Address your need for expansion. Does the market demand more? When will you scale? Is your team ready to grow with you? Articulate how you will expand. What's your plan? Is your cash flow positive? Do you have a loyal customer base? Know your numbers. Understand your balance sheet and your income statement. Stay on top of your receivables. Keep the business plan succinct. Make sure your positioning statement is easy to understand. Explain your value proposition. What do you have to offer that no one else can provide?
Be sure to watch all 3 episodes to get the most out of our business coaches and to qualify for our $25,000 business pitch competition. The contest is open to minority women-owned businesses that are at least 3 years old. Pitch submissions will be accepted through midnight Eastern Daylight Savings Time on Friday, May 5th. We're looking for all sorts of businesses. Service, product, blended, so give it your best shot. Complete the online application and be sure to send it to us before the deadline on May 5th. Additional information can be found on our website, odysseymc.com. That is www.odysseymediacompany.com. I'm Cheryl Walker Robertson, Executive Vice President of Odyssey Media. Thank you so much for watching.